Baker Mayfield. Oh, what do you know? Baker Mayfield has been the good Baker for the Buccaneers. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Baker Mayfield taking the Buccaneers to the NFL playoffs as they won the NFC South Division at a 9-8 record. Baker Mayfield had a career year as he surprisingly played good football for the Buccaneers. Now the Buccaneers get to play against a struggling Eagles team in the wild card round, as this is an opportunity for Baker Mayfield to play well on a national stage. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Do you trust Baker Mayfield to play well against the Eagles? Why not? I definitely trust Baker Mayfield to show up against this Eagles defense. Why? Because Baker Mayfield has been playing some really good football this year. Baker Mayfield has actually been an efficient passer. Baker Mayfield has actually cut down his turnovers. And when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are coming into the playoffs winning 5 out of their last 6 games. So that tells me that momentum is on their side. Yeah, do they win pretty? Not necessarily. But football is not a game of beauty pageants. Football is a game of who wins after 60 minutes of game time. And so far, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won 5 out of their last 6 games. Meanwhile, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you've basically done the reverse of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as they've lost 5 out of the last 6 games to finish out the season. Remember, the Philadelphia Eagles started out 10-1. Now they're 11-6. Now they have to play in the wild card round. And the thing with the Philadelphia Eagles is they might not even be an 11-6 type of football team, because the Philadelphia Eagles were so reliant on winning one-score games to the point where if they didn't win their one-score games, they probably wouldn't even be in the NFL playoffs, which is just absolutely crazy to even think about, because you guys have to remember that the Philadelphia Eagles were the most dominant team in the NFC last season. And not only were the Eagles the most dominant team in the NFC last season, they went to the Super Bowl and cruised through the entire NFC. And this year, that just has not seemed to be the case whatsoever. We've seen the entire regular season of the Philadelphia Eagles, and you have to wonder what happened to this Eagles team. They have so much talent on their roster, and for their roster to only win 11 games, that is a major underachievement, because you look at what the Philadelphia Eagles have. They have Jalen Hurts. They have DeAndre Swift. They have AJ Brown. They have Kenneth Gainwell. They have Dallas Goedert. They still got talented players on defense, and you wonder what happened to this Eagles team. They've been losing more than ever in recent weeks. They've been underachieving. They look like a fractured team. They've had to change defensive play callers this year already, and even though they've already changed defensive play callers, they've actually looked worse on the defensive end of the field. When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, you have to wonder what is wrong with them. You have to wonder, are they fractured, and why is their defense struggling as much as they've had? Because they had a different defensive coordinator to start out the year. Then they changed it to Matt Patricia. Now, we all know how I feel about Matt Patricia. I'm not a fan of Matt Patricia. Never have, never will be. You look at Matt Patricia and you're wondering, how is he even a guy that is qualified to call plays in the first place? When has Matt Patricia ever fielded a good defense outside of working with Bill Belichick? My point is the Philadelphia Eagles are underachieving despite having all that talent on the roster. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles defense and you're wondering, how did they get torched to Tyrod Taylor? How did they get torched to Kyler Murray? How did they get torched to Sam Howell? You look at all these mediocre quarterbacks that the Philadelphia Eagles went up against, and mediocre quarterbacks just tore them apart like it was nothing but a piece of bread. And you look at this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense and you're wondering, how are the Philadelphia Eagles going to stop this offense? Because I don't envision an answer for the Philadelphia Eagles when it comes to slowing down this Bucs offense, because even though Baker Mayfield is inconsistent, he is capable of beating up on bad defenses. And guess what? The Philadelphia Eagles are a bad defense. I'm expecting Baker Mayfield to play a really good game on Monday Night Football in the NFL playoffs, as I expect him to feed the ball to Mike Evans early and often. You look at the weapons for Tampa Bay. They've got Mike Evans. They've got Chris Godwin. They've got Rachaad White. They can score points on offense. Don't forget about their offensive coordinator, Dave Canales. He's been really good for their team. As far as what NFL fans aren't telling you about Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're not telling you that the Buccaneers are actually a dark horse contender in the NFC. Yes, I said it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are dark horse contenders in the NFC. Now, is it because of the competition in the NFC? Sure, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are actually a better football team than what they look like on paper, because you look at the playoffs and you have to say to yourself, it is all about matchups, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a favorable matchup, because you look at this Buccaneers team and you're saying, wow, they get to go against an ice cold Eagles team while they're red hot, and we all know that when momentum is on your side, it's going to continue, and Baker Mayfield is going to play a really good game against this Eagles defense. I'm expecting this Eagles defense to get torched to pieces. I expect James Bradbury to get torched to Mike Evans and or Chris Godwin. I expect Darius Slay to struggle again just like he was under the Matt Patricia era back when he was on the Lions. That's what Darius Slay is starting to look like. You look at this Eagles defense and you're wondering, their secondary is so terrible and you wonder why. And the answer is so simple. It's because coaches are not putting players in good positions to succeed. You look at this Eagles defense and you're wondering, what happened to Hassan Reddick, who was an elite pass rusher last year? Now he's basically been non-existent this year. And the answer to that is when you have a bad secondary behind you, it's going to be hard for the pass rush to get home, because if your secondary is getting torched within 2 seconds, the quarterback can just go ahead and throw the football quickly, and there you go. You already negated the pass rush right there. You look at this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense and you're saying to yourself, they've got opportunities to put up points on the board and they're going to do so. I think Baker Mayfield is going to throw for a solid 2 touchdowns in the game. I actually think that he will avoid turning over the football. You guys have to remember that Baker Mayfield has actually been efficient when throwing the football this year. Usually Baker Mayfield is a turnover machine, but that hasn't been the case this year. Baker Mayfield has actually done an excellent job protecting the football. There's a reason why Baker Mayfield is probably going to get a huge contract from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers once the season is over. That's because he's had a really good year for that team, and I expect the Buccaneers to reward him for that play with a big contract. Honestly, Baker Mayfield's revival year reminds me a lot of Geno Smith in Seattle last season. You look at what Geno Smith did for the Seahawks last season, and you had to say for yourself, wow, what a year Geno Smith had for them, because Geno Smith threw 30 touchdowns. He was efficient. He took Seattle to the playoffs. Now you look at Baker Mayfield, where he's playing really efficient football. He's cutting down his turnovers. He even threw for over 4,000 yards, and he took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the playoffs. If you asked a lot of people, would the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make the playoffs before the season started, most of y'all probably would not have believed that to be the case, because you look at how the Buccaneers were moving on from the GOAT Tom Brady. You look at how even Tom Brady couldn't even muster a winning record with the Buccaneers, and you're wondering, how is Baker Mayfield going to elevate this Buccaneers team when Tom Brady couldn't do so? Yes, I know Tom Brady was in decline last year, but Tom Brady, by all metrics, was still a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. Meanwhile, Baker Mayfield had never showed signs that he was a top 10 quarterback. Now, did he show signs that he could be a solid starter in the NFL? Absolutely. But Baker Mayfield never showed signs of being an elite quarterback. And even though I still have my reservations about Baker Mayfield being an elite quarterback, well, he's done a great job emulating an elite quarterback, because he has played like an elite quarterback at times this season. I expect Baker Mayfield to play another good game on Monday night. I think the Buccaneers are going to win by 2 touchdowns. This is going to be a nice, comfortable win for the Buccaneers. I know that the Eagles are a team that a lot of people are still very high on, but I'm not high on the Eagles anymore. I think Jalen Hurts is going to play okay, but they're going to need Jalen Hurts to play more than okay if they want to beat the Buccaneers, because I don't see that happening. I see Baker Mayfield outplaying Jalen Hurts in the NFL playoffs. I think Rachaad White, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin are going to have big games, and Baker Mayfield will be a big reason for why those guys will show up. I expect Baker Mayfield to prove his worth on the national stage. I think Baker Mayfield is going to show a lot of NFL fans that he deserves a big-time contract and that he should be the favorite to win Comeback Player of the Year, because he has had a phenomenal season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that phenomenal season is going to be rewarded with a playoff victory over the defending NFC champions in the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm expecting Baker Mayfield to have a nice stat line of 2 touchdowns. He'll cut down the turnovers. He's not going to have any. He's going to throw for an efficient 250 yards, and he's going to show people that, hey, I deserve to be an NFL starter in the National Football League, and that the haters have got to stop hating on my game, because I'm actually a solid quarterback when I play in the NFL. Ultimately, though, I see the score being Buccaneers 31, Eagles 17. I think this Buccaneers team is going to win at home against the Eagles. This is going to be a nice 2-touchdown victory. I expect the Buccaneers to show out on a national stage and play really good football. So that is why I trust Baker Mayfield to play well against the Eagles, as the Buccaneers will end up beating the Eagles by the score of 31-17. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and @Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.